Gee.
So welcome everyone, and I'm so happy to have you all here for today's Thursday Live, and I am so honored and grateful to have Dr. Kimberly McGeorge here with us again today and have her share her wealth of knowledge and expertise on reading an aura, and most importantly, reading the new Genius 2.0 aura. So without further ado, she has already shared her screen, and you have full control as of now. So Kimberly, also, you weren't here. I just wanted to mention two questions that had come through. One was like kind of the difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0 version. So maybe you can speak on that a little bit.
Sure. I think that's a good place to start since I really didn't address that. And I'm going to kind of go fast, which I don't like to do. Normally I can make this like a 2-hour class, and there's a lot of information, and there's even like probably 8 more hours of information. To me, I love the first version. It shows us a lot of things that the second version will never show. It shows us intrusions. It shows us attachments. It shows us possessions. It shows us mergings. It shows us walkouts. It shows us walk-ins. It shows us programming. It shows us if the program is coming from kind of a handler in your life, or if it shows if it's coming from the matrix computer system. And some of this may be outside your guys' wheelhouse because I teach kind of on the far edge of consciousness. So I'm just dropping things in your field, and all these, I teach about regularly, and I will be, I don't want to go into all the reasons and all the background right now, but you will be seeing me as a much more prominent teacher and trainer in the Genius community. And eventually, I may share why, and a lot of my people already know why. And it's all positive, all good, but I will be stepping forward and sharing a lot more what I call woo-woo information that a lot of people don't teach. So bear with me if it's not in your wheelhouse or not in your comfort. I totally respect that. But I think there's something in here for everyone, and you can apply it to how you use the Genius in your worldview. So in my opinion, I just, spouted off a ton of differences. But the first version is all mixed together. So all these layers we're going to be talking about today are kind of all mixed together. They're not distinct. As you get really used to reading thousands of auras, you can pull them out. And we have taught that in a couple aura classes, to my community, and they know how to do that. But what is nice about the new version is it's isolated. So you don't have to pull them out. You don't have to have any advanced education or knowledge. Once you have the template, it's very, very clear what you're looking at. And then it just becomes practice and refining. Was there another question, Denise?
Yeah, Margaret asked a question, and I'm not looking at it right now, but I think Margaret had said she thought that she could notice injuries from the old version, from the classic, right, Margaret? And she was just wondering, I guess, your thoughts on that. Do you agree with that you can see that, or is that maybe just something that Margaret has the ability and the gift to see?
I would love Margaret to show me some examples, because I don't doubt it in the least. It's really interesting because we all see things, which is the beauty of why we're even here in these own individual avatars, is to experience life, vision, seeing, sight, hearing, everything, passion, relationships from our own perspective, which is the beauty of a community. And, of course, when a polarity game, so we're used to calling things black and white and right and wrong. And it's not, it's just different. And I don't know, I can read Margaret, and I think I might even know her, I'm not sure. But I mean, she's a very gifted person, but yet we come in through different doors. We come in through different age souls. We come in through different experiences, and all of our giftings are, like I can play the piano. Not everybody here can play the piano. So again, Margaret might resonate more with the physical. I'm not really looking for physical things, which I'll share in a little bit. When I look at the aura, I'm looking for keys to the stuff that I work with, which is a lot of possession, which is a lot of entity attachment, which is a lot of house hauntings, which is a lot of soul walk-ins and soul walkouts, which is a lot of emotional depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsiveness. So I wouldn't even say, Denise, that I work. Yes, do I work with the physical body? Absolutely. And I started out as a naturopath working a lot with the physical, but now I focus more on the mental, emotional, and really, really focus on upgrading the frequency and activating psychic abilities and teaching how to game the game. So, that's going to make my view tons different, although I know how, to come in all the doors. And of course, originally I came in through the physical door. I would like maybe her to share that with me privately, and we can talk about it privately or use it in a future class as an example.
Yeah, I would love that too, Margaret. So Margaret, my email, Denise at Inside Health App. So if you could send any of those aura pics and, circle or highlight, or even if you and I want to have a little side conversation, we can do that. But I don't want to interrupt from.
No. And I love the injury conversation because, and I know Dr. Ariel, I believe a long time ago, I might've taken a class of hers that taught on this, but the injuries are actually so metaphysical and life path timeline oriented too. So that's maybe we can like delve into that, how that relates to the aura, and just do like a whole class kind of on that. That would be kind of cool too in the future. So yeah, perfectly open to talk about that. So just letting you know, well, I'm just gonna start the slides because otherwise I'll just talk forever about random things. And I have to get back to the vet. So
yeah, and everybody was sending well wishes and sent prayers.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll take all of it.
And do you want me, we started late. What time do you need to exit by so I could just keep you on track?
I'd really like to be out by 3:10, but I'm going to be talking fast. I think there's a lot of information, even though it's really basic, which I do want to say this is a basic template. Again, I have talked for 30 hours on the other aura in 30 hours of classes. And I could talk like 8 hours or 20 hours on this. So again, just kind of take this, drop it in your field. Really welcome any of your observations, right, Denise or I. I'll share where you can write me later. I'm really, really interested. I'm still working with this aura. Now, the way I see energy, I'm very familiar with seeing energy like this, which is why it's easy for me, but I welcome your actual real life, observations, as well as you work with yourself, your family, your pets, and your clients. Okay, so most important aspects of our reading to me do not relate to the physical body. Sorry, Margaret, just kidding, but the mental and spiritual planes. Because guess what? We can go to Western medicine. We can go to acupuncturists. We can go to chiropractors, and we can get they have awesome diagnostic. We can take our blood. We can do the chemical thing and the biochemical thing. We can have x-rays. We got the physical body, but who can we go to with 100% accuracy that we can reach soul information, that we can reach brain chemical information? Like, come on, you guys, this is awesome. And even though it does relate to the physical body, I have found the genius to be 100% accurate in brain chemicals. Like, that's exciting. Like if you suspect, someone's depressed and you can see they're low in serotonin, and then you go to, hopefully you all have a personal panel, which we can talk about another time, but hopefully you can pull that up and be like, oh, well, like 5-HTP, which is super cheap, that's going to hit their serotonin, win-win, 3 months, they're happy as a clam. Amazing. You can't even go to a psychiatrist and get that kind of results. So yes, awesome, even on the physical level. But of course, before it even hits the physical body, it all these layers, I love these layers because it's a perfect illustration, especially as we get into advanced teaching in the future, of how and why and what is out of balance in our lives that results in physical disease of the avatar. So what's so cool about both types of auras is we can also see past lives, intersecting parallel lives. We can see if you guys have clones. Like, it's amazing the information you can get from this. But it all affects, and the only reason I drop in clones, which is super woo-woo, is, and I'm just going to say this because I talk about it a lot, is my family gets paid real life checks to do cloning and transfer of human consciousness. So I know a lot about that. And we're not going to get way off on that because I could talk a lot about that. But learning to read the aura can help tell who is under programming. Like, are you 100% you? Is your mind clear? Are you being influenced by the game, by satellites, by all the technology you may or may know about that's being used in the game? Fabulous. And then when we go into soul, is your soul alone? Are you a braided soul? Are you a walk-in? Are you a walk-out? Like, so much information that the aura can tip you off. Some of this you guys play in, some of you don't. Some of you may want to learn. But even empty avatars, what do I mean by an empty avatar? Everything's frequency all the way back to the all, like color and sound. That's why this is quantum technology. Go ahead.
Are you still on the first picture, or have you advanced?
Yeah. No,
trying.
I'm still in the first picture because I talk like
Okay, I just
80
wanted to
years
make
about each yeah, I'm almost done. I have to go fast because like limited time, and I teach like 2-hour classes usually, so this is hard for me uh, to like slam everything into a short time. But so again, an empty avatar is also going to, of course, throw an aura, because these are sentient, emotional, physical frequency beings, just like everything else, even the things we don't think are frequency. So again, you can take an aura of your couch and get useful information, and maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do like a non-physical object class sometime, because there's really interesting information about objects maybe you shouldn't have in your home that we can get from aura reading, which is like again
that
a
would
whole
be a
nother
great
subject.
experiment, actually.
Oh yeah, it would be fun, especially if people submitted like a whole bunch of pictures of a whole bunch of different things from their houses, and we could look at it. It'd be really cool. So again, this is the basic, to me, basic information. When I look at these, you guys may see 7, you may see 8, you may see 10. I see about 12 to 14 easy, if not more, because as you look, as we'll look later at the examples, and as you guys can look if you pull it up on your Genius, there's in between shadings, which is actually refers to the Hara line, which I'm not going to go deep into, and the chakras. So there's actually way more information built into this aura system than just the auralators. There's also Hara line information, and there's also chakra information, which we aren't going to have time to go into today. So today we're going to go over the basic layers and connections. And again, I may be using different terms from other healers, other books than Donna Eden, but I see energy in a kind of more complex way, and we all have our own methods. I'm not disagreeing with anybody. I'm not saying anybody is right and wrong. I'm just saying this is how I see it, and I welcome your contribution as well. So again, feel free to take anything I say, build on it, discard it, contribute to it, or throw it away. It will not hurt my feelings at all, and I can learn from you all as well. Just briefly about the Hara line. You do need to be conscious that there's a Hara line that goes down the middle of this field, which also goes down the middle of the body, which is where I discern and see life force energy. One of the most useful numbers that I have found since I've been using this technology is the number beside the aura when you do a first pull on a client. So if I pull up your aura in the morning or at night and it's 37, that tells me a lot. And what does it tell me? It tells me that you cannot, if it's at 7 at night, it tells me you cannot sustain your life force energy. You should have a balance, in my opinion, between 400 and 600 life force energy when you get up in the morning, and when you go to bed at night, you should also have a balanced 400 to 600.
Oh,
Call it constitutional energy. Yes, ma'am.
We lost the sound for a second, but you're back.
Of course, they're going to do that. Like, this has been a day, you guys. They don't want you guys to have this information. But again, that number, and I have run thousands and thousands and thousands. I probably run hundreds and hundreds every month, but accumulated thousands of hours. We have found this life force energy so consistent. When people are on their deathbed, and that's why I don't like seeing any number below 100, as the life force energy is literally leaving the body, or they're half out of their body, we find it is always below like 75. So I'm not saying you're going to die, because it comes up on me sometimes that it's 30. But if you're consistently coming up with what I call a life force energy number under 100, you need to be talking to somebody or getting a scan or using your own tuition or running yourself, because I am telling you, in the physical body, there is some serious, serious issues. It may just be exhaustion. It may be the nervous system. It may be a disease process, but it's very important that you start running numbers that are at least, even if they're not 400 to 600, that are at least around 200 at the beginning of your day and the end of your day. And again, there are many cordings, blocks, disconnects that happen. And one of the other things with the Hara line is we can see this. And again, one of the most common things I do when I go in to run a scan, I think you do this too, Denise, and I'm sure some of the others of you guys that do energy work. Whenever I do a scan, you're not just getting a scan. So if you get a scan from me and I see stuff like you're jumped, you're corded, and I'll tell you as I'm talking through the scan, I'll be like, you're disconnected from your oversoul. You are not talking to the highest parts of you, and I will reconnect that for you. So I encourage those of you that can see energy like that to, as you run scans, do the easy things that you can fix, or sweep through and clean up. You do stuff like that, Denise, right?
Not exactly how you do it. I do it sometimes separately from the genius, not necessarily with the genius, but I mean, I'm always checking if I'm grounded and if I'm connected, but
Right. But you do more one-on-one appointments than I do. I don't do a lot of one-on-ones. So if they're going to get it, they have to get it then.
yeah, I mean, like I work with bringing people's light score up, and basically that getting rid of of negative energy, so that if your light score is high, you're going to be connected. So it's
similar, different language, similar things, in my opinion. Gosh, there's so much information. I'm going to talk even faster. Everybody's like, you talk too fast already. So I'm going to briefly run through the layers. Of course, you're welcome to take screenshots of the slides if it helps you. And of course, this will be a replay, right? So you guys can rewatch it, or maybe slow down my voice if you need to. So I'm going to briefly run over the layers, then dig a tiny bit deeper into them. So the first layer that we're going to see when we look at our examples is what I call the Ka layer, or Ka. And it's obviously the physical body. This is obvious, which is it's closest to the physical body on the picture on your screen. And it also connects the physical body through the Hara line, or the grounding cord, which is, again, something that I'm always going to look for. Now, I don't see it as easily, you guys, on the new aura. On the old aura, I can look in a second and be like, okay, you're coming out of your body. And I love that. So if you're looking for whether somebody's embodied, or you might call it grounded, I call it embodied, either one, it just means firmly in their body, not half out of their body, not all the way out of their body. The old aura is where you would want to look for that, because I cannot easily see it in this one. Maybe you guys can, and you can point me to how you see it, but I don't see it in the new version. But again, this layer also connects the root and sacral chakras. So again, we're looking for grounding. We're looking for basic needs being met. And then we have the etheric layer, which is next. And again, we're coming up into the higher chakras, the heart and the thymus. The emotional astral body is important. You're going to be looking for clues there to mental and emotional health. And that's why I really like this, because let's say you have a client that's like, I'm a mess. I can't stop crying. I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I'm anxious. You don't even have to look at all the other stuff. You can just go there, register the color, use that as a guide to what panels you want to pull, and we'll show some examples. But again, you're also going to want to look at the throat and the causal bodies. We'll also give you the colors, will also give you clues to sleep, lucid dreaming, and even abduction, which is amazing. Of course, the mental body is next. You guys obviously know what that means. But the spiritual body has a few layers. And what I mean is a few layers within what appears to be one layer, and I might be able to show you in the examples. So when we start talking about the galactic body, lower level, the self essence, the core body, the higher level, we're talking about you outside of what I call the game, or outside of Earth. We're talking about your past lives. We're talking about all your lives. We're talking about how old a soul you are, what wave out of the all you are. Really, really sophisticated things. Are you a braided soul? Have you walked out? How many times have you walked out? All this information, it doesn't matter what aura you're reading, but in this, it's really profound, because we can tell a lot by the colors that are falling in those upper outer rings of the auric field. And those are going to be soul related. But again, these are the basic layers, and there's a lot of subtle in between that we may teach on another time. All right. So I'm going to go through really quick and tell you a few more things about each layer. In the physical body, again, of course, you guys probably already do this, but I'm looking for overall physical health. If I'm looking at this, what shade is it? How much light, how much darkness? What is the level of frequency? Which, as Denise kind of already referred to, has a lot to do with level of light. If there's a lot of brightness and a lot of light, it's automatically going to be a higher frequency. The clarity, is it clear? Is there a shadow? What color is the shadow? Is the shadow brown? Is the shadow gray? Is the shadow black? Is it absolutely black? Is it muddy? Is it clear? All those tiny differentiations of color tells us a whole ton of information. Maybe this will point you digging into the physical panels. Maybe it won't. Maybe you'll be like, okay, their physical body is looking pretty good. I'm going to look at some of the layers that don't look really good, but also use your intuition. What do you know? A lot of you are very connected, very experienced healers and practitioners, have been using this technology a long time. And it starts with a belief. One of the things I say to my students when they first come to me is, I said, what if you could know anything, anywhere, anytime, any place, past, present, or future about anything? Would you be interested? They're like, sign me up. Well, guess what? Every single one of you that ever watches this or hears my voice absolutely can with 100% accuracy. We all have that capability. We are the technology. We are the all. So this, we always have to remember that the genius is just a tool. So if you are the all and have that power, and then the genius is 100% accurate tool, if you can interpret it correctly, wow, what can't you do?
Right.
Who can't you help? What can't you discover? So I hope, my heart's desire is to empower you, not just with this tool, but empower you to remember who you are through all time and space. So I hope you get some of that inspiration through these classes. So the etheric body, very close to the physical body. And what's so interesting about this, it's a shadow. Some of you have watched Stranger Things and you've heard of the upside down. The etheric body is what we consider the upside down. It's the positive, negative shadow echo of the physical body. The chakras also completely overlap here and they look the same. But as we teach advanced classes, we'll see that they're not the same and that they're more subtle. And we'll talk about that. But I love this. Some of your psychic abilities, everybody's always like, how do I open this ability? How do I open that ability? This is where you're going to want to work if you want to open your psychic abilities at the base level, because a lot of your chakras, and even I'm looking now, when you come in, the way the energy fields are wired and what they do and the way the physical avatars are wired is a lot of your chakras are only open to the front. And some of your chakras aren't even all the way open on the front. So in order to be a receiver of all time, all space, accurate information, it's the quality of your radio. You guys know you can go to Radio Shack and buy a $10 radio, or you can go to Radio Shack and get an antenna and put it on your house and pull in like thousands of stations all over the world, like a ham operator radio. So some of you are operating on like the $10, Radio Shack radio, and it's not you, it's your energy body. And here's the exciting thing, that can be changed, that can be opened, that can be, you can be empowered and instantly, if that happens, if your chakras are closed on the back and they're open, oh my gosh, some people freak out. They're like, can you close my chakras back down? Because I can't get all these dead people out of my house. So be careful what you wish for, because when you're in my classes, ask anybody, it's a roller coaster ride and strange things will start happening to you. As a matter of fact, every single word I'm saying in this whole class has coded activations in it. So just by watching this, abilities could turn on. But again, if you're not receiving the information clearly, if your clients aren't receiving information clearly, you're going to start one working and focusing on the etheric body. Okay, emotional or astral body, when you see the colors here, you can be pretty much sure, and this is a whole nother complicated talk, but they're relating to current emotions. I very rarely ever see the genius or any aspect of it only refer to past emotions. So if colors are coming up in these bodies, they're current, they're what they're dealing with right now, they're what you're dealing with right now, your pets, your houses, whatever you guys are scanning. But again, there are some residual things, especially if you're running multiple scans and you're seeing the same color over and over again. One of the most common colors I see in the aura is this passive aggressive, muddy red held on to anger. And what's interesting is you might assume that that anger is only from this life. But when we look at the past lives, we usually find that they came in with this anger, that there's a lot of unprocessed trauma, a lot of unprocessed past life relationships. A lot of you are actually in relationships in your current life with people that you had past lives with. There's a lot of, we also see a lot of jealousy and of course, depression. And I'm sure you guys do too, if you know how to read the aura. Of course, we also see beautiful positive states of mind. I see the most beautiful yellows. I see the most beautiful grounded connections to the elementals in nature. So, there's positive. And I don't know how much you talked about the color chart. I am telling you guys, I have done tens of thousands of auras. That is the most accurate. However, there's about 100 other colors that fall in there that I use in interpretations. So again, practice, 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 pulling the aura first and then running the charts. Sorry, like Denise did, really, really helps because you can start to see the correlations between exactly what colors mean what thing in all the different layers. Again, the more auras you run, it doesn't matter if it's on your plants or your pets, it doesn't have to be on you or yourself, but the more you get into it, you guys are going to start recognizing patterns on your own. However, I'm going to say one thing that kind of goes against what I just said. When it comes to frequency in all time, all space, the way it works is there is one frequency for one shade. So bright red, I'm making this frequency up, is always going to be 725.43. Muddy red is always going to be 7243.78. So when we come to saying that colors aren't a certain color, that is not true. If you get a really good artist chart, you will see the colors with all the variation, kind of a slide. You guys have seen these probably, like at paint stores and stuff, where they have all the shades, but each one of those shades has its own frequency. So now what that frequency means, that's where it takes running a lot of people and bouncing off what is coming up. Also, what matters in interpreting an aura or anything in the genius, to me, is the quality of your panels. I have seen some crappy panels. I've written some crappy panels, to be honest with you. And I've seen some extraordinary panels. So again, the technology, the tool, is only as good as the programming. I hope you guys realize that when you buy a panel or when you write a panel, you are a programmer. You are giving instructions for how accurately the tool is or is not going to operate. And maybe we could do a class on writing panels sometime. I think that's another really useful class because there's a lot of different perspectives on writing panels. So again, colors don't have opinions, but interpretation is open to opinion. So again, it's generalization on your color chart. Don't take it as diehard, but do understand that over observation of like 10,000 scans. So it's pretty accurate. Yes, if you would guys find something, I would love to add to that. If you guys know something or have observed something, I would love to make that even more of an extensive glossary that we could share with everyone. So please, again, feel free to contribute your observations so that we can all be even more accurate for our clients and in our interpretation. So again, mental body is so obvious, but it's not, because it doesn't just refer to brain chemical balance, serotonin, dopamine, et cetera. It refers to actual thought processes, because you guys know that every single belief, every single thought, every single sentence has a frequency. So if I say, I hate my neighbor, that has a certain frequency, and that can be read. And if you have your genius programmed right, you can tell that. Or if you can read frequencies, because a lot of you can read frequencies on your own. But what I love about the mental body is it can tell me how much programming you're under. And if it's outside or inside, is it you? Is it your childhood trauma? Is it your past lives? Is it your personality? Maybe you're still living under astrology, which we could talk about sometime. Or are thoughts being projected into your mind? Or is your thoughts being projected outside your mind, which also happens. But all of this can be seen and found in the app with 100% accuracy, but we have hints in the aura. So again, to me, the aura is a light roadmap to direct you to where to go first. Maybe you know where to go first. Maybe intuitively you already know. Or maybe the client made it really clear. See, I don't do stuff like other people do it. I will not allow anyone to give me history. I don't take histories. I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in what a doctor thinks. I'm not interested in what they think. You know what I'm interested in? What is 100% accurate? Their oversoul. Their oversoul is going to tell me in what order to help them heal with 100% success. Because it's not me. It's not my psychic abilities. It's not even the app. It's them with the app as a tool giving me the roadmap. But exactly. Sometimes, what, Denise?
No, I was saying exactly. It's their actual like oversoul or higher self telling you what they need to hear back on themselves.
I love that. I call myself the lazy psychic. You guys, I am a medical intuitive. I have the ability to merge with Denise and crawl around her body. It is not fun. It is not a good time. And it is not pleasant, even though Denise is a beautiful person. I mean, crawling around someone's veins is kind of gross. I hate to tell you. So guess what? I'm so thankful for this because I call myself the lazy medical intuitive, the lazy psychic, the lazy everything. Do I use all those abilities? Do I use my 25 years as a naturopathic doctor? Of course I do. but it's so much easier with the right panels, the right interpretation. And the more people you do, you guys see that just mind blowing. I'm sure you guys, I think we should just tell stories someday, Denise, about like the mind blowing things that we've observed with the accuracy of the app, because I have used this for like 10, 11 years. And I've used, similar technology for 25 years with the BioMeridian. And gosh, it still excites me how mind-blowingly, doesn't it, you, Denise? Like,
no, I'm blown away by it all the time.
Every day.
Mind
So,
blown. But I do want to time check you. It is a couple of minutes.
I'm trying. Yeah,
And I know that you have some examples that you wanted to look at. So, and I know that everybody is.
We're almost there. Okay. Spiritual body, starting to get into soul level. So this is where we're going to see parallel realities, other timelines, other dimensions, past lives, fragmented aspects, connections, to you and your clients. This is just tip of the iceberg. And again, we can go much deeper in another time with that. And then the lower causal body that I call the essence self, the galactic self, this begins quality and clarity, can show whether someone is a clone or not, if you know how to interpret it. And again, this is an overview. We'll teach stuff if you're interested down the road. But as we get into these upper levels, you're going to start seeing multiple shadings and layers. And that's important. That really, this is your oversoul and higher self, as we were talking about. And one of the things I want you guys to start looking as you start pulling auras on yourself and your clients is in these upper circles, how clear, how bright is that connection? If you're seeing a lot of cloudiness and darkness, it could indicate attachments, even possession, because a lot of people think there's a lot of spiritual religious programming here about how you can't be possessed. 100% of everybody on the planet has been possessed at one time or another, including me. I was like jumped. I call it being jumped. I was jumped a couple of days ago. And again, we can teach classes on that and how you can use the genius for that. But again, and then we have the highest level that I've seen expressed in this tool. It's still the causal body, but it's the highest level. And it's what we would call the goddess self, the essence self. So it's going to be measuring the older parts of your soul, more of your relationships, more of how your galactic families, just so much information. All right, we're going to look at examples. Gosh, I don't think I'd talk any faster. So really quickly, we're going to look at this. And this is interesting because in a minute, we're going to see a different. One of the things you're going to see is this is what I would call a compressed aura and a diffuse aura, version 1 and 2. So this is compressed versus, I'm going to show you. Hold on. Is this mine? Did I put mine up? Oh, yeah. So do you see how many distinct layers this has? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 9. And even Denise's has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we look at this. And do you see, Denise, the difference? 1,
yeah,
barely. 2, we'll give it that. 3, 4, 5, barely 6. I don't really have time to go into all the information about that. Pay attention to that. Huge information right there. I hate to say this not knowing the person because it's not my client. Who is this, by the way, Denise? Someone be careful. Is this your son?
Yes, it's okay. He knows. You can say.
Okay, so this to me, is he young? Well, first of all, I would assume he's a younger person since he's your. So let's look at Denise and me just really quick. Instantly, I'm going to tell you, these are people that do their work. Are they perfect? No. And we can talk all day about how neither one of these are perfect. These are people that do their work. Why? This is called expansion. Now, Denise, I'm going to give a little bye to because you can hear in her voice, she's not the healthiest physically right now, which also has overlap with other things. But still, these are people that do their work. Denise is nicely expanded side to side. I'm nicely expanded in details of the number of colors in my aura. So we're both expanded in a different way. We don't have time to go into what that means and what it teaches, but this is huge information. If you pull a client that works like this, immediately I'm going to say, if he was going to keep working with me or if I was going to refer him to someone, which I do a lot of referrals. So I would appreciate getting to know you guys because I do not do one-on-ones very often. So if you guys do continuing mentorship work or offer energy healing or one-on-ones, I would like to be aware of what you do so that when I get clients, I can refer appropriately to you because I believe there's more than enough clients for everyone and we resonate with who we're supposed to be with. But I would instantly say about your son is that To me, he doesn't remember who he is. He doesn't know who he is through all time and space. He hasn't deeply explored his past lives. And because of that, what are we seeing? He actually looks pretty healthy. Is he pretty healthy physically? I'm not upset with his physical body right now. Here's what worries me, and guys, and here's such a key, this color between. See the toxicity? Can you guys tell that it's toxic? The color right here, right close. Denise says that if he doesn't change things, he's going to probably have a physically diagnosed 3D medical label disease hit him at some point. Now he's young and he's healthy and he has a nice expanded field that's protecting him right now. But by no means, we have what I would consider 1, 2, 3 toxic colors. Here's the good thing. I'll get positive for a minute. So we're getting to the, a celestial type of, 4th layer of the Arctic field to the mental body. I would say this is a young man who, whether he uses it or not, is an older soul, and he's extremely psychic. He's extremely intuitive. So Denise, yes or no? I don't know. I'm just asking.
He is 100% an old soul. That is actually 100% true. He's very empathic. I also am curious to see if part of what we're seeing is he is a freshman in college going through hazing for a frat. He's home on a week break trying to recoup. So
that's right here. That's right here. There's some jealousy, there's some envy, there's some confusion, there's some relationship issues showing right here, right where we would expect to see it. And again, I wouldn't have, well, we could have maybe looked at that, but I wouldn't have necessarily looked at it. I would have been like, I would have asked him if he was my client, I was working with him, or I would have just gone to the relationship panels, which I have a lot of, and I'm sure you guys do too. I would have looked at these relationships, and underneath that, I would have looked at his beliefs about himself, because there's so much jealousy and kind of toxic relationships. So I would be looking at his beliefs about himself, his beliefs about relationships, handlers. I mean, can't get much more handler than a fraternity or sorority, just to be honest, in 3D. But again, what I also like about him, just really positive, and I have to talk even faster, is this little ring around this ring. Okay. He's extraordinarily gifted. So the degree of this purple, the frequency of this purple, which also actually, I don't know if you guys can see the white, but I can see the white, and it's not this white. It's an actual white layer that lies.
It's kind of like, you can see it. It like a slight speckling to it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like this blue, then the intuition, then there's, so beautiful. He is highly assisted by his soul family. And if he really stepped into his power, I mean, sky's the limit for him. So we can see all that in the aura. Now flipping over to this view.
Sorry, I'm having a moment.
I'm sorry. It's all good though. It's beautiful.
No, they were happy.
Is this him too right here? Is this him? Did I get it right?
Yes, that's when I switched to the old version. That's how it shows up. I think that was him, or that could have been, let me just look, because
I think it is, unless this is him. This is you, right? I thought that was you. Or is it reverse?
Let me just see. No, his had more color in it. I think that one is mine. Oh, okay. You know what? No. You're right. It's just that the color on my phone, it looks a little bit brighter.
I really have to go, but let me just say a couple of things. So again, I want you guys to note some things. See how this color is close to this color. We see the green close to the green. We see the bright green close to the green. I see the jealousy. And it's interesting because in this aura, I see the jealousy up here as programming. And again, sororities and fraternities are, they are recruiting grounds for the 3-letter agencies in this reality. So of course, it's going to come in as 3D reality programming, because all sororities and fraternities are where they pick up people for the 3-letter agencies. So I'm not saying they pick everybody. I'm saying they use it as a top tier to recruit for intelligence agencies. And just so you guys know, my ex is one of the ruling families of the United States, and he's in Homeland Security. So I get a lot of information from him. So you're going to learn weird stuff from me. But again, we see the toxicity down here. And we don't, what's interesting though? This is why I like this. It gives us clear information in the right fields. We see no intuition here. If I wasn't going to go with my own intuition, I wouldn't even be like this person's. If I was reading this aura to a client even me, if I'm not using my psychic abilities, if I'm just using the tool, I wouldn't tell this person they're intuitive. I would say they're a healer, which I do believe he also is a healer and has healing ability. He could go into the medical field and do very, very well. Could go into the legal field and do very, very well. Could go into the counseling field and do very, very well. Or he could just be full blown crazy like us, Denise, and do very, very well. But here's the beautiful thing that I like that doesn't show in this aura. That's why you should pull both. I would tell this client, you have a lot of beautiful, brand new things coming down your timelines, which is showing in this beautiful, bright blue. He needs to be careful that it's self-directed. He's creating his life because he has a bright blue programming line coming in from the matrix. So he needs to make sure he's at the wheel of his life. He's in the power chair and he's creating his life. So those are basically the things I would say. This person's toxic, does need to address some physical issues. He is coming out of his body a little bit. I would, talk to him about being grounded and a little bit of self-nurture and self-care. So we are seeing that you can use both auras and get completely different but useful information if you know how to read both. And then here really quick, and it's going to have to be really quick. I'm not going to be able to see this.
And also Margaret is saying, I'm sorry, skull and bones. Okay. So Margaret, if I'm reading this right, are you saying that there's injury to skull and bones by looking at the old version? Maybe that could be a time for, but is that what you're mean when you say skull and bones on there, Margaret? I know that we're really quick.
I'm like really crushing time.
Okay.
Oh no, skull and bones is a group. Yes, she's right. Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
They also, thank you, Naomi. Naomi knows this. They also recruit from the secret societies. So they recruit from the fraternities, the sororities, and the secret societies for the 3-letter agencies and black ops in the military. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, that's what I mean by 3-letter. Thank you. So just really quick, was I right? We see low life force energy. You didn't pull the aura number, so I don't know. Will you pull him?
No, I didn't, but his aura, I don't remember the number, but it was blue. So it was low. It was below.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. So we're right about that. So his adrenals are exhausted. Mama, I would put him on adrenal immediately.
Okay.
If you want me to scan I have a 500 panel of supplements. I don't know if you guys do, but if you want me to scan for some suggestions, write me and I will. Okay. But I would get him on adrenal because I think if he isn't mitigated, I'm looking at his timelines too. This has nothing to do with, this is just for Denise. He's one of those, because he's so sensitive, actually, whether he seems to be or not, he's actually a really sensitive soul. He'll crash and burn because he's so intense and sensitive. He needs supported, mama, adrenals. Thank you. And again, we see all of this stuff that's adding to the toxicity, hormones, liver. He's acidic, not out. Of course, he's good. Heavy metal toxicity. Of course, I disagree with who. I am telling you, there is nothing better. Nothing better. And I can show you millions of pictures of examples and before and after as a negative ion foot bath to get out that heavy metal toxicity, to get out the poisons. They're actively poisoning some of you. Some of you are targeted individuals. I know Naomi could talk about this and maybe we'll in another class. I believe any misinformation about negative ion foot baths is absolute BS. And I can show you thousands of case studies to prove it. So if you guys don't have a negative ion foot bath, I don't care if you're broke, save for one, put it on a credit card. You will see your numbers change immediately, like nobody's business. And experiment with that and let me know. All right. So just really, really quick. I don't have a lot of time. Yeah, see Naomi. I knew Naomi would comment. Yeah, black goo. All tar. And that's a lot of your nanotechnology and your microtechnology coming out in black goo. All black goo is nanotechnology. You want to get that out of your body. And good, Laura. I would expect you to have one. I think a lot of Laura. So again, I don't have a lot of time. One thing I would say about Denise, just looking at her old version, again, I think she might be out of body because she's not feeling well and she's probably like, get me out of this body. But again, if even I didn't know Denise, I'd be like, get in your body, girl. We see the toxicity starting to leave her body. It goes from left to right. So we're seeing her get rid of that. I would assume she's getting better. Denise is one of the most loving people I know. Get to know her if you don't know her. We're always going to see love probably in her aura. We see it here as well, where we would expect to see it. One of the beautiful things I love about your aura, Denise, is you're absolutely in a detoxification. You're going to feel really, really good physically after you get through the sickness. So this light blue energy 100% indicates to me new energy coming in. Whatever layer that appears in, it's a positive sign, unless it's murky. Now this has a slight cast over it, but again, she's sick, so I'm going to give her a bye. And again, I have to go because I have to take my dog to the vet, and I want to give you guys a gift and talk really quick about that. This is really unusual. This is not perfect by any means, and I'm not as expanded as I should be because I'm compressing myself because I'm protecting myself from some toxic relationships right now. Right now, Denise is more open, so we can tell by the circular that emotionally she's more open. Her chakras are more open. She's more open to life. I mean, there's a lot. This would take me a long time to break all this down, what this means, but I want you to notice the circle versus my oval. Mine is an oval because I'm deliberately shutting in and I'm cutting some toxic people out of my life and I'm compressing my inner circle. So I'm closing my energy in on purpose. I mean, this is the same app. Look how different it looks. Look how mine is oval. So even the shape of how this appears gives you a lot of information. I do want to also note that currently I'm not sick and my aura is not perfect. Look, this is bad. Do you see the gray? You don't want to see that color next to your physical body. I'm dealing with some pretty crappy physical stuff. And then we see the white, which is amazing. And I'm not going to go into what that means, but it has a shadow over it. My pink doesn't. See the
There's
light?
also the whiteness around the edge. Isn't that like what you were seeing with Jason there too? Is
That's positive. It's positive. It's positive. And again, this is not meant to be a comprehensive class. Just wanted to throw a whole bunch of stuff in your field. Let it sit. You guys do with it what you want. I just wanted to give you a taste of how much information we can get from these auras.
This is like been so amazing, and I'm sure I can speak for everybody, but if everybody just wants to let me know how this went. And I also told everybody that you will be coming back April 6th. We will use a library of yours and do an aura analysis with it. So we're really very excited.
And we need to take our, you guys need to submit to Denise your auras if you'd like to be a sample. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I want to give you a gift. I started a new business called Vibrant Creations with 3 other amazing women. This is the most powerful light code. You guys can screenshot this. I want you to print it out, put it on your mattress, face it to your mirror. Naomi already knows all this. This is Heal Your Heart light code from, hold on, I forget which dimension. Hold on, it's outside of the game. It's like from like 70th dimension or something, way outside of what I call the game or earth. So if you're working with heart, you want to open your heart, you have a healing of the heart, anything, I want you guys to download this, play with this. I have these hung up all over my house, not just this one, but tons of them. Here's my information. Oh, can I even get to my information? Why isn't my slide going up?
There's one more. I can see it. It's there.
I know, but I can't click it. That's so weird.
I want to click on mine, but it won't do anything.
So weird. Why is it not letting me share my information? Oh God, they are so horrible.
Put it in, or you can just send me that. And
so weird.
I can email it to anybody.
Happen before. Well, this has been a weird class. Okay, basically, I'll type it in here. So I have an Etsy store, Secret to Everything. My website is secrettoeverything.com. And my other website where you guys can get more light codes if you like them. It's Vibrant Creations.
I love the light codes. So that was so awesome.
So again, well, let me get back on that in case they want to. Okay, so please experiment with that. These have been kind of scary, profoundly life-changing for me very rapidly. So be careful how you play with light codes because these are pure, these are powerful, and they've been vetted by a lot of people. So again, my gift to you for putting up with my fast talking and being late. So thank you very much, everybody.
And many blessings and prayers for your furry friend. And
I appreciate it. I thank you all, for your guys' energy. I really appreciate y'all. So yeah, thanks for bearing with me and still being here and listening to me talk really fast. And thank you, Denise.
And thank you. And can't wait to talk further. All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for going extra time with us today, and can't wait to see you next week. So thank you, everybody. And did everybody get a screenshot of the light language picture? I just want to give you a minute to get that in case you haven't already, but please get a picture of that I'm actually going to get one myself. Oh, it just went off. So hopefully you got it. But anyway, I hope it was well worth it. Margaret, I hope you got a lot of good information in there, and we went, can't wait to see everybody. Any questions you guys have, please email me, Denise at Inside Health Apps. And I'm just going to shut this recording down now. Whoops.